Candidates, thank you for being here. And as Robert outlined, we'll start off. Ladies first. If you would all just please give us your 3-minute introduction and why you're running, please.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm Tracey Gambill, and I'm the only candidate who's already beaten back development and overdevelopment since 2023 when we won our first case before the county commission. Planning and zoning is where the action is. It is the beating heart of housing development, and I have that experience. Pardon me. Please look closely at my platform if you pick that up on your way in so that you can understand what I am proposing. I have added a couple of things to that platform. One is fighting against the solar farm in Stockton, and the other is for increased funding for the Sheriff's Department. Of the candidates in this District 4 race, I am the only one who has been working for you already for almost 4 years. And thank you so much.
Thank you. John Tater.
Good evening, everyone. Doug, thank you for being here tonight. Robert, thank you for allowing the opportunity for me to come here tonight with the other candidates. Thank you, audience, for y'all coming here tonight as well. One thing I'd like to say is my name's Tater. I get asked all the time how you get the nickname Tater. So when my dad was pregnant with me, my mom rubbed on her stomach and said that's my Tater in there. So that's how I get the nickname Tater, so if you're wondering. A little about me. I was born and raised in South Alabama. I've been over here in Baldwin County about 15 years, live in Orange Beach, Alabama. Me and my wife own a successful small business. We started 7 years ago on April the 9th. And we're coming on our summer season, so it's been a great experience. Prior to that, I was in project and construction management. So I worked on oil refineries, paper mills, power plants, big, large industrial projects like the Novella site. A little bit about the platform. I want to focus on the constituents. For far too long, we focused on tourism, bringing people north and south. I want to focus on our eastern, western corridors and take care of the people who live in this county. We need to do a better job of taking care of us. Now we've done a good job of bringing tourists here. They spend a lot of money and they afford us a lot of the communities and things that make our county great and nice, and why people are moving here at an alarming rate. But we've got to work on controlling that and making our community safe. Sat down with the sheriff the other day. He needs a little bit of building, but budget wise, they're pretty good. They got about 450 people. So we're in a good spot in Baldwin County. We just have to plan for the future and make sure that plan and that future is what the constituents want. So I plan to do that with a common sense approach and by listening and learning from each and every person in attendance here or throughout the county. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tater. And last but not least, Brett Gaar.
Thank you, Beck. And Robert, wherever you went, Robert, and everybody else for being here. I appreciate y'all taking the time to do this. My name is Brett Gaar, born and raised in Magnolia Springs. Well, born in Foley because Magnolia Springs doesn't have a hospital. But been here I'm the 5th generation. My family moved here in 1880. So we've been here a long time, 140 years. And I'm 59 years old. I graduated from Foley High School. Went to Auburn, graduated from Auburn. And after graduation, I went to work for Volkert Engineering. I retired from Volkert after 29 years. I ran the environmental department for Volkert, and my job was to make sure that we had all the federal, state, and local permits in place when we did road projects, widening or new alignments. Worked on some really big projects, including the Mobile River Bridge project. That's the one I was working on when I retired. I worked on widening of 65 through Birmingham and had a lot of public involvement meetings as a part of that process. So it gave me a unique understanding of how to work on roads and bridges and how the funding works, which is very important for Baldwin County. We're growing so much. and our infrastructure is not keeping up with that growth. And that's a big part of the reason why I'm here. I also have 3 children that are living here, and now I have 2 grandchildren, and that's a lot of my incentive to try to make Baldwin County a better place. You know, probably most of the people here have lived in Baldwin County for a long time, and we've got a great place to live, and I want to make sure we have that for future generations. And I think what I did at Volkert gave me a unique opportunity and understanding of how to help with growth and infrastructure. And I think we got a lot of friends here that are just as important as my grandchildren and generations of friends. And I want to help all of them. And I would appreciate your vote. And I'm also a part-time farmer. I got a little pecan orchard that I work on. That's another thing. And I get a lot of advice from Gary back there. So I guess that's my story.
Thank you, Brad. All right, my goal tonight for all of you, I want to touch on several things, including things like property rights, environmental impact, growth management, leadership, infrastructure, traffic, financial stewardship, and intergovernmental cooperation. So I'll go through the questions. And now when I give each of you a question, I'll give the other 2 candidates a chance to respond to the same question, but I'll rotate it so you're not always being first or last each time. So Tracey, I'm going to begin with you. In reflection to solar farms and property rights, in your opinion, how should Baldwin County balance private property rights with the oversight needed for siting large solar farms, particularly regarding land use and zoning impacts on existing neighbors?
Thank you for the question. Property rights are extremely important. There is a very fine line between a person's property rights and the rights of the county as a whole. Stockton, for instance, where the solar farm is proposed, is not in a zoned area, so the county commissioners have no authority over that. It is, however, under a legislative process at the moment. Selling property is not the problem. It is what is going to be done with that property that matters to everyone in the community. It is about the environment as well as the density, if it's going to be a subdivision or a large industrial type facility, and that affects everyone that lives in the community. So I am for property rights, definitely, but it is not always appropriate to have certain items in appropriate locations.
Thank you, Tracey. Tater, I'll go to you. Do you have any other comments related to that question?
Yeah, so for me, we need to do a better job. We've got one, work with legislatures to give the county commission a little bit more authority. 2, we need to take and plan out further and create some more, I guess, if you're going to have industrial areas we've got to plan and just, instead of leaving everything unzoned throughout the whole county and then reacting, we need to be a little bit forward thinking and put out a little bit more zoning if possible. And then we've got to work with the constituents to see, where this will make the most sense and put our best foot forward. We can't just always go in and be reactionary. I think we got to go out and plan ahead and be in front of these kind of things instead of waiting until they hit us in the face like we did this time.
Thank you. And Brett, any comments from yourself?
Yes, sir. I've been an advocate for zoning for probably 30 years. I've been working on it since Magnolia Springs was zoned in the early 2000s, I guess it was, maybe late 1990s. And I think all of Baldwin County sooner or later will end up being zoned. It's a matter of time as our population grows. And zoning is not perfect. There's a lot of downsides to zoning, but having zoning in place is better than not having zoning. That's the way my approach. I've seen a lot of development happen in unzoned areas that would not have happened in zoned areas. And I think that's the way we need to approach it. And home rule is a way to make that happen. So I would lobby for home rule or more home rule. I think we have a very small amount in Baldwin County. I know the cities do, but the county is very limited home rule, and that's something that I would push for to give us a better way of dealing with those sites. That particular site that you're talking about in Stockton is biologically very diverse, and I did with a team of regulators, I'm out of time? Okay. It's a bad site for a solar field.
Thank you. All right, Tater, I'm going to come to you on this question, and this is really regards environmental safeguards. So what environmental protections, such as wildlife impact mitigation or even pre-construction drainage requirements, do you believe the county should require before approving either a solar farm or any major infrastructure project?
I think when we're working around our waterways, we need to be extremely careful. I think we need to put some more engineered controls in place than we have, just throwing up a silt fence or the place like what happened in back in the late fall, early winter over in the Lillian, Alberta area. I mean, that's atrocious. That's what's happened with the development is doing that and just dumping mud into our bays. We got to control that, and there's things you can do from an engineering standpoint. Whether you burn them around or whatever, I mean, it costs a little bit more money, but we got to protect our communities, our water, our quality of life, because not doing that is unacceptable, and we're better than that. And frankly, we can do a better job at that.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to you, Brett, you go first. Yeah.
Same question?
Yeah.
Wolf Bay was the site that Teddy was referring to, and that was a 60-acre site where it was a residential development, and we had a big rain event, and we can do a lot better job than what was done there. And what was really concerning to me about that site was there were a lot of people in Baldwin County that have the expertise on how to prevent that kind of thing from happening, and they were afraid to touch it because it was a project in Alberta, and Alberta doesn't have the staff to fix those kinds of things. They don't know what to do, and I saw a lot of people around the county sit there holding their thumbs and thinking, we got to fix that. And if I'm on the county commission, I'm gonna work very hard to get everybody to work together and have a team that comes in. Everybody's afraid of getting sued, and we got to get ADM involved. And I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. That's just the way it works, and we just need to do a better job than that. Did I answer your question? I'm not sure I remember all your questions.
No, it's just really tied into the question that was originally given to Tater, so thanks for your comments there. The next question, and again, I know solar development is somewhat of a hot topic in our county. And I'll bring this question, I'll start off with you, Brett, then. When you think about the economic impact of solar development, how should the county weigh potential economic benefits like jobs and tax revenue against the concerns about things like property values when evaluating solar farm proposals?
Yes, sir. I'm a big I believe in property rights. People have a right to use their property, and they have a right to sell their property for development if they want to. And I don't want the county to be involved in making decisions on how people make money with their property. But that being said, when that development is going to affect an entire community and resources that affect downstream property, then it is something the county needs to be involved in. So you got to balance the good versus the bad, the good and the bad, and see which one better.
Very good, thank you. And Tracey, I'm going to come to you. You can respond to this question as well, and I unfairly did not allow you to make comments at the previous. So I'm going to grant you an extra minute. That's okay. So you can address the environmental concerns or protections yourself, but let's stick with the latest question here regarding economic impact and your thoughts regarding that.
Yes, well, the economic impact is twofold. The Stockton solar farm, or any solar farm, apparently, from what I have researched and studied, is a temporary employment opportunity. After the subject is built, then there are very few jobs required to maintain that project. So it is not a long-term employment opportunity. So that is one thing that is misunderstood, because sometimes it's promoted as being jobs. And that is not the case for the long run. Also, the environmental impact there, Alabama Department of Environmental Management will be involved. The Army Corps of Engineers will be involved, I believe, in determining how appropriate this location is for such a large development. And when it comes to property rights, the seller of the land has a choice to sell to whomever he wishes. However, in these large developments, it's usually a developer or a corporation. And those are actually the ones that want the industrial type projects or the larger developments that are high density. So it's not up to the seller always to determine that, but it is up to the county and the legislature and the community to decide what is appropriate. And the developers and project engineers and companies do not have a right to infringe upon their neighbors of the seller's property, because this solar farm, for instance, will be in the backyard of some homeowners, and that will devalue their property. So it's a fine line and it's a balance for sure.
Thank you, Tracey. And Tater, I'll come back to you regarding the economic weigh-ins, benefits versus things like property values. What are your thoughts?
Well, for one, I think we need to create jobs in the county. But for two, a solar farm is not going to create jobs in the county. There are some construction jobs. I mean, after it's built, yeah, you'll have some security and some maintenance personnel, but it's not like it's going to create 800 jobs like a Novella site will, or something like that. That's going to pour $100 million into our economy for the next 30 years. That's a little bit different economic benefit to look at. So, I mean, when you weigh that out, are there sites available for solar? Sure. I mean, I think that's a horrible site selection. And I think we need to, again, look at forward planning and create areas to where we can have this economic development, where we continue to move forward as a county and not take a step back and, you know, where jobs dry up and people just move here and don't work or just retire. We have to be able to have a balance of fresh young people moving in with the existing people that we have here and co-mingle. People are moving here at an alarming rate, and we've got to do a good job of being able to provide good jobs for the people when they are here and protect our communities and quality of life in the meantime.
All right, thank you much. The next area, I want to kind of focus or transition over to things like public input and transparency. And Tracey, I'm going to start with you this time. Residents have often expressed their frustration about not knowing the details of large development projects. What would you do if you were elected to improve transparency and public involvement in county decisions?
Well, for one thing, I think I would promote a longer timeline between the actual application and the time that it goes before the commission, in order to give the public more notice about the upcoming event, whatever it might be. It is not posted on the agenda for the commissioners until about a week before the project is going to be heard. that is not a lot of time to research or rally the citizens if need be. Having town halls is one method. I've done 7 of those in the last 3 years. Having petitions signed is another one. But having people know when this is coming up in advance is very important, or they do feel blindsided. I also think that it would be important for the commission to consider changing the time of day some of their meetings are held so that people who work can be more in attendance than is currently the situation. So I would promote something along those lines as well.
Thank you, Tracey. Brett, I'll come to you. What are your thoughts regarding that?
First thing I would do is do more advertising on social media. I think that that's the way to get everybody's attention these days. But I agree with everything Tracey said as far as changing the times. Maybe that might be a better way. But one thing I would add to what she said with social media, I don't think that is used. And the county does do that now. I think we can do more of it, and not just on Facebook, but TikTok or whatever it is. I'm no IT person, but social media is another way I think it would help the county. And maybe we need to expand the area where we notify by mail. You know, I think we notify everybody within 500 feet of the property, or maybe it's adjacent, but maybe we need to expand that a little bit. That'd be another way.
Okay, thank you, Brett. And Tater, do you, but again, regarding public transparency and input?
I think we should keep everything behind closed doors. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm just big. I believe we need to take and, TikTok's got some governmental KI needed signed an executive order. I don't know where it stands now about using information on TikTok. I was talking to the sheriff's officer. They're like, y'all need TikTok. And they're like, we can't have one. I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. So I was like, y'all got some cool toys. But so we can do that. I mean, I can do it on my personal pages, which I have a decent following on my personal pages. The county commission, we can also get with the cities, and the cities can publish out on the city pages. The more outreach we get, whether it's, if you got a project going on in an area, you can work with the cities. They can put it out on their social media as well. They've all got followings, and so there's a lot of ways that we can reach. You can do mailers. I mean, one sign in the ground that's got a little 12-inch sign on there, and you got to drive by to see it. I mean, and stop, get out of your car to read it. That's not real big, So you kind of got to go look up. But yeah, I think we can do a little bit better getting the word out there. Social media, we can get with the media, whether you're getting with 1819 or AL.com or Yellowhammer or whoever. We can do some press releases as well. If it's large projects, I mean, you may not want to do that for every 5-acre, small project, but yeah.
Very good, thank you. All right, our next question or next area, I want to focus on growth management and growth management strategy throughout Baldwin County. And Tater, I'll come to you first on this one. So Baldwin County, as you mentioned earlier, is one of the fastest growing counties in Alabama. What specific strategies would you implement to manage growth while ensuring infrastructure and services keep up with the rising needs and rising population?
Well, one, we got to focus on us. We need to take, and whether that's bond money, whatever, we got to put some money behind our infrastructure and really accelerate where we're going. Growth is happening, and it's happening now. We've also got to look at decreasing density. When you're doing large projects, you can work on decreasing density. Again, you can not stop somebody from building on their property or their land, but you can work on reducing density, and there's different scenarios that you can do to do that, and engineering that you can do that, whether it's updating our subdivision regulations for more impacts for that, for reducing density. So I think that's our a big tool that we can use here in the county is just reduce our density as projects come forward. So.
Okay, thank you, Tater. Tracey, Any specific examples or ways you would include that in your plan?
Yes, I would. I would actually let you know that I have been involved in this exact subject matter with planning and zoning. I've studied and researched quite a lot. I've gone before the commissioners several times over the last 3 years to argue about the density, the high density, and about sometimes the location being inappropriate according to different factors that are evaluated by our master plan. The master plan is undergoing some modifications, which is a good thing, but it needs to be done, in my opinion, as priorities dictate rather than waiting and not having anything until a finalization is obtained. I also have gone before those commissioners many, many times. I have won several of those arguments. As a matter of fact, I've just won 2 out of 3 in the last month and a half. So I have experience in that. Planning and zoning is the most important part of managing growth, and high density is out of control and needs to be curtailed. There could be moratoriums placed if the legislature would allow the county to do that, so that some infrastructure and other things could be developed in a better manner. But until the legislature does that, the commission has no authority to do so.
Thank you, Tracy. And Brett, do you want me to repeat the question? Yes. Baldwin County is one of the fastest growing counties in Alabama. What specific strategies would you implement to manage growth while ensuring infrastructure and services keep up with the rising needs and population?
The first thing I would do, like I mentioned that earlier, was I would encourage those districts that are not zoned to get zoning in place. That would be one thing. And I would pursue home rule with our legislatures, and whether that would happen or not is that's a tough one, but that's something we need to pursue and get more home rule. Another thing I would pursue is limiting where certain utilities go, so they don't have the mechanism to develop where development's not appropriate, where you don't have all the infrastructure. You know, if we run for an example, if you run a sewer line out in the middle of nowhere, but you don't have water, you don't have police protection, other than the sheriff's office, you don't have schools. You know, you're going to be stretching the school system, the other utilities, drainage, roads. So I think there's a way to limit some of the utilities going in areas where development's not, where the growth's not there to accommodate it.
All right. Thank you, Brett. All right. I want to steer it over now towards things like beach traffic and countywide congestion. So, Brett, I'm going to I'll start with you this time, Brett.
Okay.
Start with you. So, what are your ideas for improving traffic flow to and from the beaches, especially along Highway 98 and our east-west connectors as population and tourism continue to increase?
Well, when you say get traffic away from the beach, and then we're looking at the east-west, the 98 corridor, I would look more at the north-south corridors and extending the Beach Express and making the missing link of the Beach Express. The county's in the process right now of getting 31 to 65 design, and then from 10 south to the beach is done. So there's going to be a section in the middle that needs to be done. That would be my priority, but we also need the congestion we have on 98, the east-west corridors, 64, 104, 98, look at widening where we can, and maybe new alignments, particularly in the 64 area. And I know I was with the mayor of Daphne this morning, and they're in the process of doing the 30 cube system with the, I think, right, with the county right now. So that's in the process now on the east-west corridor in Daphne. So I would look at that and maybe pursue A-trip funds for some of these projects as well. That's the way I would approach it.
Okay, thank you. Tracey, I'll come to you next on that. Any comments?
Yes, thank you. Well, I've already proposed, it's been some time now that I've been advocating for passing lanes and turning lanes to be improved or added on Highway 98 going east and west. I don't believe that Highway 98 will ever be 4-lane because it's already overbuilt to the point that that would be nearly impossible without ruining some homes and some businesses. As Brett mentioned, there are some other east and west corridor type funding has been obtained just in the recent past on at least 2 different locations. That funding has to be lobbied for, I believe, and it has to, I think the commissioners have something to do with that. I'm not sure exactly what, not being a commissioner. But I know that I think Commissioner Underwood was in DC recently, and that could have been part of what that purpose was. So there's money involved, and we need to strategically plan ahead and try to get the funding needed in order to get these things accomplished and not wait until we're so reactive after the fact.
Thank you, Tracey. And then Tater, I'll come back to you. You know, what are your ideas for improving traffic flow to and from the beaches, especially along Highway 98 or other east-west connectors as population and tourism continue to expand?
Well, they got this fine new bridge they're building up out there, and it's dumping onto a 2-lane road on Canal Road, which is absolutely atrocious. And they've got the design currently of the new bridge being southbound only, and then the old toll bridge being northbound only. That's absolutely atrocious and needs to be changed immediately. All 3 mayors down here, Foley, Gulf Shores, and Orange Beach agree, which is great when you can get all 3 of them working together. You know, if all 3 of them agree, then it probably needs to be changed. Also, you know, Orange Beach, they're looking at putting a bypass in behind Pep Boys because you've got the boondoggle at Docks and 161 right there in Canal. And that's a state project. They're working with permitting right now. So, you know, we can work with the state to do some of these things. We'll have a new ALDOT director when Tuberville gets in office or whoever the next governor-elect will be. That will be a big change that we can have. As far as the 98 connector, we need to widen where we can widen. That road is hard to get around. You may can look at putting, I don't know if you can put a bypass around town or go through, but that is a tough route, and we're going to have more and more traffic as this place gets built up. Perdido Key and Inner Point will eventually get built up, and that traffic will slow down there, which is going to dump more traffic on 98 coming our way. So we've got to go ahead and get ahead of these things that are happening.
Thank you. All right, next topic. I want to kind of switch over to sewer system and infrastructure coordination. And Tracey, I'll begin the question with you. Given that the Baldwin County sewer system operates independently, how should the county collaborate with the authority regarding service areas, expansion, rates, and environmental concerns?
Well, to tell you the truth, I'm not sure about all of that. Having not been a commissioner yet, makes that a little bit of a difficult question to answer. But I do know that they are always consulted when a project is coming before the commission or the planning commission, and that many times they have no comment, or they will say that they can accommodate the capacity, and then later it becomes apparent that that wasn't exactly the case. So there needs to be more accountability there. Being an independent business, the county could hold their feet to the fire a little more, so to speak, I believe, and that could help some. So I think that, and also ADM is constantly being called and for leakages that occur regularly all around the county. And that is totally inappropriate. So there should be some mechanism put in place to force these services to be adequate and not have these types of problems that continue.
Thank you, Tracey. Tater, I'll go over to you. Tater, I'll go to you first. What additional comments regarding Baldwin County sewer system would you like to make?
Yeah, so one of the things I think we could probably do a better job with is monitoring. So like if you put on pressure or flow meters and you have more of those in place, so if a leak does occur, we know about it a lot sooner than instead of somebody noticing it when they drive down the road or out on a walk or on a bicycle. You know, if you have remote monitoring, we have plenty of options these days that allow for remote monitoring. That's one thing I would like to see. A second is if it ever comes up for sale, I wouldn't be opposed. Would be one vote, but I wouldn't be opposed to the commission taking a look at that, purchasing that and bringing that under county control so that we can provide more services for our citizens and can help control leakage and other problems as the county sees fit.
Thank you, Tater. And Brad, I'll come to you as well. I mean, your thoughts again to collaborate with the authority regarding service areas, expansion, rates, and environmental concerns?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Big question, and that's been on the mind of a lot of people for a long time in Baldwin County because that's the only sewer system that's not publicly owned. They answer to a board of directors that is for profit, where everybody else answers to a board of directors that's a utility and non-profit. So it's a big difference. And I think if the county then put in position, I don't think the county necessarily would want to own that company. But if it was put in the position where it had no choice, the first thing I would do was we would need to break it apart and give, like, Daphne utilities, Gulf Shores utilities, Orange Beach utilities would have to take a part of it, but there's no way the county has the staff or the ability to handle something like that because it's so spread out. So we would need to bring all those utilities together to help us manage it, and then sell off the infrastructure to those entities. I don't think the county. We might have to do it for a while just to get it where it needs to be, but that's not something I would want to do, other than to get it out of private ownership if we had to, just to get it where and make sure that the people that are using that citizen service are being taken care of and that we're not having spills. And we would include ADM and obviously in that process. They have to be, by law, have to be included in that process. And I'm out of time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you much.
I can talk about that forever.
All right, the next question, I want to kind of gear towards the context of fiscal responsibility and budget leadership. And Tater, I'll come to you first. Obviously, in your background, working on multi-million-dollar projects, what steps will you take to ensure taxpayer dollars are spent responsibly? And how does your financial experience prepare you to oversee a county budget?
I go line item by line item. There's nothing too small to look at when you're going through department budgets. You have to take the time to go line item by line item to make sure money is being spent responsibly. I also think we need to look at borrowing money when it's low, rates are low, having more money available to us. I think we need to take and stack more money away long term over a 10 to 15 year term so we can build a bigger nest egg where we make more, where we'll have more, I guess, money for future projects. So those are two things. I want to make sure that we're in great shape where we can operate if major storms hit and we lose a lot of our tax dollars, or we have a slowdown in tax dollars due to tourism not being available after a major storm. My experience, I've done financial forecast, I prepared reports for VPs. I've sat on numerous planning stages for projects where we're spending cash. Even with these big companies, you're forecasting your spend dollars. And so those are some of the areas of expertise where I excel. Some of the other things that we can take and do from a financial perspective is, show how we're doing each month. We have a county budget. It's all online. You can look at the last, 6, 7 years, and I've read through several of them. But you've got to go line item by line item. I haven't been line item through the budget, but when people are asking for stuff, we got to make sure it's right for the county and for the employees and for the departments.
Thank you, Tater. Brad, I'll come to you and get your comments regarding the same question. You want me to repeat it again, please? Yeah. What steps will you take to ensure taxpayer dollars are spent responsibly? And how does your financial experience prepare you to oversee a county budget?
Yes, sir. Me and my wife have 2 businesses, and we run our home, and we don't have the money, we don't spend it. Running 2 businesses has given us a great understanding of how to do that. And I work for a company that worked on very, very, very large projects, and I had a budget on every project, and I had to make sure I met that budget and get the job done. And that's what we'd have to do as a county.
Very good. And Tracey?
Yes. Well, first of all, I think it would be nice to have a forensic audit done right off the bat to see where things stand and make sure that we start from a clean slate. Also, I am confident that there are many people in the planning and zoning department, as well as possibly in the commissioner's offices, that are very well versed in accounting and in economics. I also, and they have done a very good job of being good stewards of that budget. I believe they've already had at least 1 or more accolades from higher ups regarding what a good job they have been doing. So that is very important to understand. I also have owned 3 businesses over my years, and I understand economics fairly well. I'm no expert, but there are people that are experts that we would be consulting, I am sure, in order to make sure that things are running smoothly and coming up with fresh ideas, in order, like Tater said, to accommodate more funding where needed, when needed, that might be available at any given moment.
Thank you, Tracey. All right, Brad, I'm going to come back to you and start with you on this topic. And I want to visit, protecting community character. As you know, our county is large geographically. We have so many great communities, Foley, Gulf Shores, Fairhope, but they're all unique and different to themselves. So how do you balance continued residential and commercial development with the need to maintain the character and the rural identity of many Baldwin County communities?
That's tough. I mean, with the county growing as fast as it is, it's hard trying to keep up with all the changes. And the way to do that is include the people in making the vision. All the people, listen to them and somebody talked about a comprehensive plan. Make sure you follow the comprehensive plan and include the community in making that plan and try to follow it. That's the only way you can, and get zoning laws and subdivision regulations in place that mimic that vision.
And Tracey, I'll come to you. Any thoughts about protecting community character and rural identity?
Yes, thank you very much. Definitely that is one of my passions, is protecting the rural charm and character of the communities. There are numerous communities in this county that have a lot of unique character, and that should not be allowed to be ruined by overdevelopment. I have proposed a new zoning category, which is 2 homes per acre, not 3, that developers and builders could be able to choose from rather than the current situation where the first category is 30,000 square foot per home, and then it jumps and leaps forward to a quarter acre, 4 homes per acre. And that is absolutely too much density, too vast. And this zoning category would be a big help in resolving some of that and relieving some of that issue. That would be 3 homes per acre, I misspoke. And the character of the people in the communities matters to them very, very much. The quality of life matters very much. And it is a community effort and a countywide effort to keep these things under control.
Thank you, Tracey. Tater, you as well. Any thoughts about protecting community character?
Man, I'm at a loss of words, Dick. So a few things that we can do, in my opinion, would be you've got different cities all about, and you've got county land up close to some of these cities, and aesthetics. I mean, in Orange Beach, if you build on Canal Road, there's a certain look if you're within 200 foot of the road. And if we're close to some of these cities, there's unzoned land in the city of Gulf Shores, for example, or other municipalities, we need to look at maybe adopting some regulations where we're adhering to the aesthetics in that community if they're close to those areas. I mean, if you're way out, it's a different scenario, but I'm talking about what's up next to our communities. We got to protect our communities first and foremost. It's what makes this place great. I love Baldwin County. It makes Baldwin County great, and we've got a bunch of special communities from Stockton to Bon Secure to Fairhope to Fort Morgan. So each one is different. They're not all the same, and we need to protect each and every one of those to the best of our abilities. And if we've got to fight, whether that's going and leveraging our relationships with the legislator, whatever, to get more rules or more authority for the county commission, we need to do so we can protect our communities.
Thank you much. All right, now I want to kind of move over to collaboration with local and state partners. So Tracey, I'll start with you. You know, complex projects, as you're well aware, even in your current roles today, require cooperation across municipalities and state government. How would you work with mayors and city councils and state legislators to move Baldwin County priorities forward?
That is a great question, and I have met with about half a dozen of the current mayors since the last municipal elections. And they have told me that the commissioners are working better with them than has been over the years past. So that is obviously something we want to continue and improve upon. Collaboration is always best in any situation when it's possible. There are jurisdictional issues. I know that one mayor told me that sometimes they have impact fees and some other rules and regulations, and so developers want to go into the county rather than into the city. And I think that we should work with the legislature on gaining more authority for that type of thing to be implemented throughout the county as well.
Thank you, Tracey. Tater, I'll go to you. What are your thoughts on collaboration with local municipalities and their leaders?
Well, we get way more done as a team. We've got to work together as a team in Baldwin County. One voice. We need to take one voice to Montgomery. I've got great relationships with several of the mayors throughout the county, with several of the legislators in the county. So we've got to take and work together and just get our voice up to Montgomery, carry a bigger stick, and we can bring more home for Baldwin County. The mayors, we need to speak as one voice in Baldwin County and get on the same page. So when we're talking about projects, if we're in Montgomery or where we're at, we need to all be speaking the same language and singing the same tune. I think sometimes we may not do as much of that as we can, but I think we can get better and build these relationships and work on these relationships. So we provide for the constituents of Baldwin County, whether you're in the city or in the county, you're important. to me. And so I need to do everything in my power to build those relationships to take care of every single person here.
Thank you, Tater. And Brett, any comments about state and local collaboration yourself?
Yeah, I agree with what they said. I mean, we got to have a good relationship with all the, was it 14 municipalities in the county? I mean, just because we're in District 4 doesn't mean we won't be talking about a road project in Bay Minette. So we need to know those guys and have a relationship with them, and they need to be able to look at us face to face and work out a plan for a project that's in both the county and in the city. Same goes for projects that are in District 4, and we hope the commissioners that are in other districts would do the same for them. We all got to work together. Like Tater said, I mean, that's the only way it's going to work. We all got to be on the same page, because we only got a certain pot of money to work with, and we got to spread it around the county. And you know, what happens in Magnolia Springs versus what's important in Alberta or Bay Minette or Fair Oak. And that's what the county commission has to figure out where that money's going to go and how it's going to help the most people. And the way we do that, talk to all those mayors and council members.
Thank you. Thank you much. Well, I know myself and everybody here in the room, obviously you guys care. There's a reason why you're running for office, and the fact that you're vested to take on that responsibility and run for this role shows exactly the type of leaders and the type of people you are. So Tater, I'm going to come to you first. When it comes to leadership qualifications, what experience in your personal or professional life best prepares you to serve as a Baldwin County Commissioner, and what would be your first priority if elected?
My first priority as elected would be to get with the other commissioners and work on setting a path forward for the future. That is what we've got to do, and lay out our path forward for the future. My experiences in life, I've traveled all over the country. I've seen things all over the country. I've worked on projects all over the country. What we have here is special. We have to protect it. I want to use my small business background to help, whether it's in the financial, whether it's in planning and zoning, whether it's in other things. We've got to get better and serve our citizens as a five-star commission, as a five-star county. We've got to put our best foot forward, and I want to help do that. I want to help plan for the future and protect what's here.
Thank you. All right. And Brett, I'll come to you second to get your remarks.
Yes, sir. Well, I had been on a town council before. I was on the town council in Magnolia Springs, my home, in 2008 to 2012. So I have a good understanding of what it's like to be on a town council. Anyway, I've also been on the board of directors for Lower Engineering. I'm on the South Alabama Land Trust Board. I'm the chairman of the Environmental Advisory Board for the county. So I've got a lot of roles where I have been a leader, and I've worked with almost every county commissioner since the early 1990s as an environmental consultant for Lord. So I understand that. I feel like I could walk right in the door and understand what we need to do as far, at least what my responsibility would be. I do agree that the first order of business would be to meet with the new county commissioners and the old ones. I mean, whoever the new ones are, whoever makes up the commission, get with them and make sure we understand, our platform, what we're planning to do, and then I would want to start working towards what I could do to get a handle on development, because that's what's on everybody's mind in this county. Everywhere I go, I hear about development. It's overdeveloping, and what can you do? So that'd be the first thing I would want to focus on.
All right, thank you, Greg. Tracey, your comments.
Can you repeat that question just a little?
Yeah, what experience in your I'm gonna make sure it's the right one. What experience in your personal or professional life best prepares you to serve as a Baldwin County Commissioner, and what would you do as your first priority if elected?
Thank you. Well, I think all of us personally have budgets that we are held accountable to. So that's nothing different or unusual. However, I did own 3 businesses over the years, so I do understand economics to a larger degree than someone who might have been an employee elsewhere. Not necessarily that that is a bad thing, just the difference. I also have Capitol Hill experience, and I was a court reporter in the DC metro area for many years. So I know all about running around in the very highly populated areas. And I think that the main priority for the commissioners is to definitely get on the same page, as everybody's been saying, to try and figure out what is the number one goal and priority, and then moving on to step 2, 3, and 4, as far as laying out a vision of what needs to be accomplished first and putting the priorities where they are most important, and to act on those in a timely manner. It is very difficult to be doing things piecemeal. So a strategic long-term plan is definitely in order.
Thank you. At this time, we still have a little bit of time left, so we have, at this point, if any of you have a question, which is code for I ran out of my questions at this point. So would anybody here have a question they would like to address to the 3 candidates at this point? Anybody? Yes.
Thank you for taking my question.
If you don't mind, just speaking.
Thank you so much. Thank you for taking my question. I want to revisit the subject of the sewers. There are pockets of Baldwin County, including District 4, that have just repulsive, sickening sewage smell.
Pause. Just hold it up. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. There are pockets of Baldwin County, including District 4, that have repulsive, sickening, raw sewage odors. And the response of the Baldwin County Septic and Sewer is, thank you. The response of Baldwin County Septic and Sewer is that they're operating at 50% capacity, so there should be no problem. But they didn't complete that sentence. The sentence should have been, we're operating at 50% capacity ineffectively. So what can be done to get them to fix these odors? I have people that can't sell their homes.
Yeah.
Or live in them.
I'll try to take a shot at that. Most of those locations are probably lift stations, I would imagine, because that's generally where you're going to have the problem, is where a lift station is located. And the thing to do is report it to ADM, because that's who regulates sewer, not necessarily the county. You can also report it to the health department, but they're just going to refer you to ADM. But that's where you start. I hate to say that, but that is where it would start.
And let me just say, I've already done that.
Uh-huh.
And they said, well, they're operating at 50% capacity.
Yeah.
But
Do you have other comments as well?
not effectively.
Well, I believe you're right. I know of several of those locations, and the response is not appropriate, not sufficient by a long shot. Now, how to go about implementing some fines for this type of situation would be in order. I don't know how that would be done, but it should be explored. And they should not be allowed to just continually have these kinds of issues. It's inappropriate. It's not good for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens.
And Tater, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I would like to see if we can explore more about where the smells are coming from or what's causing it. I mean, we can try to, as a commission, try to encourage a business to do something, but when they're under ADM, I mean, there's only so much power the commission has. But just reach out and talk to people and inside the company and see if we can build some better relationships with people in the company and see if we can get some more responsiveness would be one. That would be, and then ADM, I'll make a report. The more reports we can get to ADM and the more people you can get to complain, whether it's getting on social media and if you got to start swinging a big stick and bashing people, sometimes it gets results. And if that's what we got to do, that's what we got to do, take care of our citizens.
Thank you all. Does anybody else have a question?
Thank you. My name is Sylvia Womack. I live in Glen Lakes, and we have had an ongoing lawsuit with the private sewer company for almost 20 years now. We've spent a lot of money trying to get something done. My question is, how can we get a private sewer company regulated the same as our city company, sewer and utility companies are? Because we've been fighting this. We actually won at the Supreme Court level, and then it was brought back locally, and we can't seem to get a date set to even get it settled. So that's what my question is. How can we get a private sewer company regulated so that they have to operate under the same rules as the others? And there is a lift station right off County Road 12. The smell is so bad that you can't stand to go through there. It's all the time. We complain, it lifts for a little while, and then it comes back again. And it smells like raw sewage all the time through there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Womack. Tater, you want to take that first?
Well, I mean, I can't encourage a judge on where to set his court, his case, but as far as, I mean, we would just have to work with ADM and, I mean, fines. You can't really regulate the sewage company or the sewer companies in Alabama. ADM does. That is a state function. And as a county, the only thing we can do is lobby the legislature to make changes statewide. That's easier said than done. And, we can work with our legislators. We can build relationships with ADM. We'll have a new ADM director in January coming in with a new administration. And with the new director coming in, maybe we can get some better teeth and better relationships and some better support out of Montgomery than we're getting currently. We've got to work on that.
Either of you have any comments you want to add?
There are several different options to pursue, and some are legal and legal. Now, from a county commission standpoint, I mean, I'm talking out as private individuals, not the county commission. But the only thing the county can really do is lobby ADM, and maybe they would be more responsive to the county instead of individuals, and that's something I would encourage. But if that doesn't work, if it continues and it ain't any better, the only other option is to try to work something out through an acquisition, so we can get to another company that can do it. That's another option, and we'd have to work with that company, obviously, but that's an option too.
Tracey, anything you want to add?
Well, they've said pretty much everything that I think can be said. I don't know exactly an answer that would be sufficient, especially since you've been in litigation for such a long time and still no affirmative action has been taken. That is very pitiful and just not fair in the least. I would have to ask legal opinion. I would ask legislative opinion and see what suggestions might be forthcoming. And sometimes they have to think outside of the box and come up with some solutions that aren't typical.
Very good. And thank you for those that volunteered to give a question. So with that, we're going to get to our closing remarks from each of you. So Tracey, since you led us off with the opening remarks, Tater, I'll go to you first, followed by Brett.
First, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Thank you for taking the time to come out and listen to each and every one of us. Thank you for your questions tonight. Thank you for allowing us the chance to meet and talk to each and every one of you. Thank you, Doug, for moderating tonight. Excellent job. Thank you, Robert, and the Common Sense Campaign for hosting tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Just remember that you're selecting the future of Baldwin County when you go to the ballot box. Keep that in mind. I would appreciate your vote on May 19th. If you have any questions for me after the meeting, I will be happy to answer. If there's anything I can do for you before, after, or during the election, I'm happy to do so. My cards are out there on the table, my cell phone, my personal number's there. I can promise you I'll listen to you, and I will return every call. And I will be there if you need me to be there, regardless of district. I will come out, look at your problem, and respond accordingly. So thank you all for your time. Thank you for being here tonight, and I look forward to talking to each and every one of you.
All right, thank you, Tater Harris. Brett Gaar.
Thank you again, and Robert as well, and everybody else for being here. I know it's not easy to come listen to this, but I want you to know I'm running for county commission because I really care about Baldwin County. I'm the fifth generation, and I've got 2 generations behind me, and I want to do what I can for this county. I got no other reason to do this than that. I had a great life before I decided to do this, and so I'm doing it for you guys and for my kids and my grandchildren, not for me. And I think what I did for a living would be an asset to this county. I got a lot of history with this county. And I got a lot of background in infrastructure, which is a big issue. I got a lot of background in planning and zoning and funding. All those projects I talked about earlier, we had to figure out how to pay for them. And that's what a county commissioner has to figure out how to do too. So I think I've got a good background that would help this county. And if you will make me your next county commissioner, I promise you I'll try to do everything in my power to make you proud of that decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Brett Gaar. Tracey Gambill.
And thank you as well for having us and for your attendance tonight. I appreciate that so much. It lets us know that the citizens are actively engaged and serious about the upcoming election. I'm going to quote the one and only Ross Perot, who some of you may not remember. But he famously said more than once, "I'm not interested in what you did years ago. What have you done lately?" Lately, our roads have become parking lots. Our farmland has been bulldozed, and our rivers and bays have become turning brown. In the past 4 years, 3.5 to 4, I should say, I've been advocating for the local citizens in the Lillian community, and then I have also spread that to other areas in the last several months since this campaign began, and I have advocated for 8 different communities thus far, and as a county commissioner, that would be required throughout the entire county. I have promoted a new zoning category, which is something I think could help greatly in our problems of overgrowth. And I will protect our quality of life. So I would like to just tell you that I appreciate it if you would vote for me on May 19th, because I am here for you, and a vote for me is a vote for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracey. One of my favorite Ross Perot quotes was, "Peanut butter in a horse's mouth." Hilarious. And I want to thank all of you for coming here tonight and being respectable to our candidates tonight. And remember, please go out and vote May 19th. Robert, and to Common Sense Campaign, thanks for organizing this today and making this awareness available. So thanks for coming. Good night. Drive safe.
Please help me. Thank you, Dad.